Live from the Screen Junkie studio inside the Room of Requirement. This is Movie Fights. Brought to you by Loot Crate.
Whoa! Huzzah! Almost!
Oh, God.
Welcome to an all Harry Potter themed movie fights. That's right. With Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them coming, we are here to bring three huge Potterheads to fight it out on all the Potter themed topics that you have been dying to ask. And I'm so excited to do it here. Stuff like, what's the best Harry Potter movie? What's the most shocking moment? What's the magic thing you'd want to take out of this universe? There's just a bunch of fun stuff. Best performance. So much fun stuff that you're not going to want to miss if you're a Harry Potter fan. Stay tuned. If you're not, give it a try. These are three great fighters, so stay tuned. Let's introduce these fighters. Wait, before I do, if you're watching live, you can do it. Hashtag Movie Fights Live. Erica Ishii, Roth Cornett are on our fact-checking cam today because they are die-hard Harry Potter fans. Dan Murrell is sort of a fan, but we brought in two massive experts to help fact-check this and keep track of the polls. You can talk to them online at hashtag Movie Fights Live. Guys, are you excited for this?
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited.
This is going to be a fun one. Now, I got to be honest even before I meet the panel. Look, I like Harry Potter. I've seen the movies, but I am not a massive fan. And I think that's going to be good today because I'm listening to the arguments. You guys can't, I don't got a horse in this race. You guys got to sell me on the arguments. I'm not some like, I got to talk about that movie. No. It's all fair game, so it's going to be beautiful. Let's see who's going to be fighting today and who's going to take this home. First up, I'm so excited to have her. She's a host, actress, producer, two new shows on Geek and Sundry, Foreververse, and Brit Battles.
Heck yeah.
You've seen her here so many times. Trisha Hirschberg, welcome back.
Thank you for having me, Andy. I'm
Thank you
so
for coming.
excited. When I heard there was going to be a Harry Potter movie fights, I was like, oh, get me in on that, get me in on that. This is so exciting. Although, then in retrospect, thinking that I also have to argue against some of my favorite things from the wizarding world is really a challenge.
I like that too. Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Yeah,
I'm
it's going
excited.
to be hard.
Next up, you've seen her on TV Fights, and now she's making her Movie Fights debut. And I gotta say, there's something fun here because Gina Appolito, welcome. And for those of you who don't know, Gina helped write our Harry Potter Honest trailer back in the day. Gina was a fantastic writer. We had around the same time Spencer started, and you guys both wrote on the Harry Potter trailer, which is this gonna be fun. And I love it because there were some fights in that room.
Yeah.
When we're doing it. I hope some of those come back because it was really fun to watch.
I'm sure it will, because I still hate Spencer to this day because of those fights.
Speaking of which, Spencer Gilbert, writer of Honest Trailer, Harry Potter Obsessed. How's it going, Spencer?
Good, man. It's an honor to be among so many fellow potheads, and I thought I was dead inside, Andy. What's wrong with you? How do you not love this franchise?
I don't. I like it. I enjoy it. I like the movies. I haven't read the books yet. I'm saving them for my kid. I want to read them with my kid.
That's
That is a
I
good
could have done it,
excuse.
but in a few years I'll be able to start with my kid, and I figured that's a good way to do it.
You gotta go.
So
That's
I've saved
a good
it.
excuse.
But I'm very excited for today. All right, that's the rules. That's how we all. Does anyone have any questions before we begin? You know how to do this in some form or fashion. Great. Well, let's get to it. But before we do, I have to thank our wonderful sponsor of today's episode. It's Loot Crate. We love Loot Crate. I know so many of you love Loot Crate. And today's being brought to you by Loot Crate. For a low monthly fee, Loot Crate delivers a box of 6 to 8 of the coolest themed geek and gamer items right to your door. And this month is going to be a Scream with November's theme being magical. So order by the 19th of the month for a crate full of classic and contemporary thrills and chills. And thanks to Loot Crate for supporting us. You can sign up before 11/19 to receive the Magical Crate and go to lootcrate.com/moviefights and use code MovieFights to get 10% off your new subscription. See?
Perfect.
Some magic there. Code MovieFights. Blah, blah, ching. All right, guys, let's fight.
Come on!
I want to fight you.
You want to fight? Let him fight.
Probably should have like a little more.
Stop this fight, I'll shoot
Fight there. But hey, that intro was great.
It's a great intro. that was the
That
Wizarding
intro was
World
killer.
intro, the Harry Potter
Forgot
intro.
to change that one, but the rest of it was great. All right, here we go, guys. This is it. This is a big one. This one's been asked for a while. We're gonna get down to it. The question is, what is the best Harry Potter film? It comes from Mr. Ron F on Twitter. Guys, we got to decide it. Trisha, you're up first. What is the best Harry Potter film?
All right, this is an easy one for me. Deathly Hallows Part 2. It's got every type of payoff you could ever ask for in a movie. You've got the emotional payoff, the action payoff, the relationship payoff. It's the deadliest of all the movies, highest body count, so the most intense and also the most touching. It's the grand finale at the place where it all started. It's the characters and the sets that we absolutely adore. It's everything that you want in a high stakes film pulled off beautifully by Yates, and it's hands down the best film of the series.
All right, we'll hear more. Gina, what are you saying is the best film in the series?
I gotta go Prisoner of Azkaban. It was the first director switchover from Christopher Columbus to Guillermo del Toro, and he shot it beautifully.
Not Guillermo.
No.
Alfonso Cuarón.
Alfonso
Cuarón.
Yes.
And he shot it beautifully, and it's hands down the most beautifully shot one. And it's also the introduction to everything that people love. It's the introduction to Hogsmeade, which is, if you go to Universal Studios, that's what it's based on. It's based on Hogsmeade. The introduction to Butterbeer. Also, you get really emotional stakes because it's the introduction to Sirius Black, who's Harry's last sort of tie to his parents, last living relative. He's his godfather, and it's just really there's a lot of emotional stakes, and it's also the first one that veers away from sort of the more kiddie nature of the Christopher Columbus films, the first two, and the first one that goes a little bit dark, which I feel like fans of the series were waiting for a really long time.
Okay, great. Spencer.
All right, so I picked Deathly Hallows Part 2, and I lost that coin toss to Trisha. Then I picked Prisoner of Azkaban, and I lost that coin toss to Gina. So I'm going with the clear winner, the clear best Potter film.
Playing his cards. It's admirable.
But I had a chance to think about it, and I've convinced myself, and hopefully will convince you, that the first Harry Potter film, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Philosopher's Stone if you're in the UK, is the best Harry Potter movie. Now, a house is only as strong as its foundation. This movie sets the stage for everything that comes afterwards in such a significant way. Every single character you love, with the exception of a few, was cast in this movie. Every single casting choice was made by Christopher Columbus and J.K. Rowling in the first movie. They gave you all that. They gave you the general look and feel of the Harry Potter films. They decided to go with a practical Hogwarts. They really built Hagrid's hut. They really trained actual owls to carry fucking mail. Like, that is a decision that Christopher Columbus made that was not, the expedient, easy way, but it was the right way. It did justice to the movies. And this is a film that came out a year after Phantom Menace, so we see what can happen when someone doesn't really care about doing things with care and love and the right way. We've seen the CGI actors against a blue screen. We've seen bad child actors, but this is none of that. This is the quality film that set the bar for everything to come afterwards.
All right, we got it started, guys. Fight it out.
I say you're saying that it set the tone, like the visual tone, but then Cuarón went in and totally changed it all, and people liked it way better. So if that was a house, he knocked the foundation of that house down and started it all.
He changed it,
over.
not necessarily for the better. I prefer the sumptuous warmth of Hogwarts more than like when they're all in hoodies. They look like fucking Zack Snyder's Twilight.
It was such a by the books, like he basically just did every single thing by the books, and I gotta say,
is that a bad thing?
No,
to do
I don't
by
mind
the
that it's
books?
by the books. The one thing I will question, Spencer, is you said all that bad CGI. There's none of that. Go back and watch Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone.
There's
because
bad Quidditch, but Quidditch is bad in everyone.
Also,
Mountain troll scene, the
Voldemort
Quidditch,
head in the back of the
flying
head.
lessons, like all of that you look at now and you're like, I think maybe I could animate something better
Also,
than that,
I'm
like
gonna-
myself,
yeah.
maybe.
I'm going to throw Spencer under the bus here, too. And I know that he hates, this is what we argued about, because he hates Quidditch so much. And a big portion of that movie is Quidditch.
Not
and
a big
learning
portion.
To play
There's
Quidditch.
a Quidditch scene.
And I will say, I love Deathly Hallows Part 2, but it was such an easy movie to make because there were already all those emotional things happening in the book, whereas I feel like Prisoner of Azkaban is more nuanced, and it's more, so he had to do more with the set. He had to make it a lush set. He had to change the lighting to a darker, grittier lighting because there aren't any deaths in Prisoner of Azkaban.
The problem with Deathly Hallows Part 2 is it's half a movie. This is for these films you can I think you have to throw out the book or the story argument because they're book adaptations. But this was a movie choice to split this into Part 1 and Part 2. So you do get payoff, but you only get payoff. The setup and all the emotional work and groundwork is done in Part 1. It's not much to do a 40-minute battle scene and build half a
This
film around
setup
that.
is no way all in part 1. It's in 1 through 7.1 or 1 through 7.5.
So the movie's doing even less. So
yeah.
it's just the
No.
exclamation point at the end of the sentence.
I have to agree. It is just like it's just cake. There's no substance.
So you guys are saying, so I want to go back to what Gina said, because she said, it's all been written there. There's not much to do with it. I disagree. I think when you have an amazing story and you're tasked with bringing that story from page to screen, that is an incredible thing to do. Alan Rickman's final reveal, his final moments as Snape, bringing that to screen, to say that that's an easy task because the story's already been written, I think is a straw man argument. That is one of the most moving scenes in the entire series, if not the most moving.
You know what's
scene.
a little less moving is when they're all fat and old at the train station.
Yeah, that ending,
That ruins
that
the
leaves
potential
hope for the universe that
that
everyone
ruins
still loves.
our
This is a
imaginations could write
gigantic-
the next 20 years of
guys,
Harry Potter.
this
No,
is
we
a
know they all end up fat
gigantic
and old at a
war.
train station.
This is a
Old person
gigantic war
makeup
where
is
people
horrendous.
we love are dying left and right.
People have been dying since the fourth movie.
Instead of taking the easy way out, Yates did not do dramatic music for every single death. He so beautifully played it that Fred's death, for example, is completely understated, and we see it after, and that was a brilliant
I don't even remember
That was
Fred's
actually
death.
another complaint I had, though, because there
Fred?
were all these major deaths, and then it was just like, oh,
That's
this guy's
Domino
dead,
Hall
that guy's
Gleason,
dead, this
right?
guy's dead. like
Fred Weasley.
You don't. There's too much there. There's too much sweets, not enough substance.
And
Also,
it's
the,
all
the
done
climax
beautifully.
of that, Harry versus Voldemort, is literally just hold your
standing.
wand is just.
The entire you're diminishing the entire Battle of Hogwarts down to.
Well, I'm just saying.
Guys, not only do I disagree with you, this movie was the highest grossing of all of the series, grossing over $1 billion worldwide. It was the highest rated on both Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic, so not just critics but viewers alike.
Yeah, but that's like when they give an Oscar to someone at the end of their
Yates-
career,
nope.
and they're like, okay, you've
Yates
earned it over the last 7.
absolutely killed
Listen.
it, and it drives home the message. It drives home the message that every single hero, no matter how brave, needs the support and love of their loyal friends. And
All right,
it
that's the
drives
message
home
of all
the
Harry
message.
Potter.
Yeah,
I want to get back to talking
exactly.
about Sorcerer's Stone
no,
for one
I
more
would like to
second.
make one
Hold on,
point.
yeah, let Gina go.
Do a Google search of best Harry Potter movie, and it's gonna say Prisoner of Azkaban. No matter what list you look at, it's
That's
going
not
to
true.
say Prisoner of Azkaban.
That's not true.
Yeah, well, do a Google search
Fact
of, what does this
checker.
rash mean? And you're going to get a lot of crazy answers. Google searching is
This
not
rash means I
criteria
watched
for anything.
Harry Potter #1 way too many times, and all of the sickly sweet Christopher Columbusians got to me and gave me a rash.
Oh, I'm
That's
sorry
what it
he made a
means.
children's movie when we were all children who loved Harry Potter. He should have gone right off the bat and made Azkaban and just had it all death.
Children's movie, what I would say one more thing about Sorcerer's Stone, and the reason that I don't think it holds up as well over time, in addition to the CGI,
Terrible
is
acting.
our actors were still very
terrible.
young
Oh, no.
and awkward.
By the standards
and
of child
didn't
acting,
come
they are
in-
little Daniel Day-Lewis's,
Right.
all of them.
This
But
is what I'm
wouldn't you
saying.
agree that their performances were so much more nuanced by the time we got to Deathly
By the
Hallows
time we got
shit.
to Prisoner of Azkaban.
They had 13 years of acting under their belt. I would hope they got a
Here's
little
the
bit
thing.
better.
The moment in Prisoner of Azkaban when also it's the introduction of the Dementors, who are some of the best villains ever, and when the Dementor sucks out Sirius Black's soul, and Harry realizes what that means.
How can you make the case for Azkaban for being introductions to things when Sorcerer's Stone introduces Harry Potter, Ron, Hermione, Hagrid, Dumbledore,
Spencer
Snape,
has a
McGonagall?
solid point there. The one thing I would say is a negative against Prisoner of Azkaban is that there's so much plot to handle. That's really where the books start getting really complex. And as a film, then you have to juggle how much of this information am I keeping in, how many things am I moving through more quickly.
But that's
like
what
I
the
would say,
director does.
watching that, I wanted more information about Sirius Black. I wanted to know more about this really interesting character, and instead I was getting Pettigrew, who's very interesting, but
There's-
not necessarily
There's
the
not much
backstory I
Pettigrew.
needed.
Also, I will say the easy way out would have been to split it into 2 movies, like they did with Deathly Hallows,
Oh,
and then you
snap.
get 2 movies that are meh instead of one amazing.
You
I would
can't
like
say
to
that
make-
those 2 movies are meh.
I would like to make one.
You can't
My final
legitimately
point about
argue that.
Sorcerer's Stone is that looking back, it seems like it was destiny for these things to be good and for these all to be successful. But this first movie, the stakes were way higher than we realized. Of course, it's successful now looking back, but for people like Andy who didn't read the books and had heard about these things, like what the fuck is Harry Potter about? If they blew it, They have 7 movies that they flushed down the drain. They had to nail this and had to build a world and welcome outsiders into this, not just the fans, not just the super Harry Potter heads like us. They had to bring outside audiences into a world, and it succeeded.
All right, I'm going to give you all final thoughts here, because this is a long argument, but worthy, because this is a tough one. I need to take its placement out of the franchise out of this. I get it. Beginning, middle, end, they all have a reason for being good. Why is your movie better than the other two in your final closing argument for me? Going to you, Trisha, first.
Okay, it's simple. It's the highest stakes out of all of the films, if we're looking at the film individually, and I am talking about part 2, not part 1 and part 2. Part 2, highest stakes out of all the films, best acting out of all the films. Alan Rickman's final Snape scene kills it. Best action sequences. The Battle of Hogwarts is amazing. It keeps you on your toes the whole time, and the visual effects are the best of the series. So all of these together, I would say best of the series, absolutely.
Gina.
Visually, Prisoner of Azkaban is the most stunning out of all of them. The shots are dark and they're disturbing, and the Dementors flying so close to Hogwarts, which is supposed to be a safe haven. It's the first movie that really makes you feel like, oh crap, something is coming. And also, on top of that, it's the best written. It's the one that was the most plot heavy, but they handled it in such a beautiful way, and they really put those emotional stakes down for Harry meeting his godfather for the first time, and at first thinking he was evil and wanted to kill him, and then realizing this is someone who loves me, the only person probably in this whole universe that actually loves me, loves my parents, and then at the end he has to once again say goodbye to him. It's emotionally gut-wrenching and beautifully shot.
Spencer.
This movie has the highest degree of difficulty of the 7, and it nails it. This is like making a perfect TV pilot that sets up a world while also being able to exist on its own. It has a complete story, and they made all the important decisions in this movie. They made all the casting decisions that mattered. They made all of the decisions about the look and feel of the series that mattered. And, you know, if you scratch the surface of any of the future movies, the core of it is the Sorcerer's Stone.
That was a good fight, huh, guys on the couch?
That was a knockdown drag out.
I need help on this one, because
Troy was in tournament's got nothing on this.
Points, but I'm curious. I mean, aside from the people on Twitter, I'd love your thoughts as fans. What you heard there that helped you.
Yeah, I have an opinion about this because
Opinions out of it.
Yeah.
I also have a
very strong opinion about
But
this.
these are some great arguments all around. I will say that just in terms of fact checking, we did a little look about what the most highly ranked Harry Potter film is, and according to Rotten Tomatoes, just from the critical response, the number 1 is actually Deathly Hallows Part 2.
However, I will say the first thing that you get when you search best Harry Potter film, you know, with the images that pop up for Google, is indeed Prisoner of Azkaban.
Yes.
And the first couple of results are split between the two of those.
And the Twitter poll that we ran has Prisoner of Azkaban at 53%. So,
Far and away.
so it's pretty
People's
split.
favorite.
Based on the arguments, I'd love your thoughts.
These are very solid arguments all around. I think Spencer probably had the hardest fight, and I think when you're in a fight and you know that you have the hardest argument, you put a lot of thought into it, so you create the strongest argument in some ways. Having said that, I would also agree that Azkaban turned the tide for this series, and I think that was a great argument there.
I had that note too. Erica, thoughts?
I would say the exact same thing because like Spencer really had an uphill battle here, but he blew it out of the water. However, Gina's arguments about the changing the tone and the cinematography really won me over in the end.
But Trisha made some great ones too. Good luck.
Yeah, so, I mean, I wrote a lot of notes here on this one, and it came down to a couple points, but I do think it actually did come down between Gina and Spencer. Sorry,
Okay,
Trisha. It was
that's
very
all right.
good.
That's
But there
all
was a
right.
lot of stuff that I loved Gina's cake with no substance when you talked about the splitting of the two movies and how that sort of thing. But then the intros, and then you were talking about a lot of the intros, but then Spencer got you and he's like, hello, mine is all intros, and then you wouldn't have this. So it was a lot of back and forth, but I think I'm leaning towards Gina based on just a standalone movie and where we go and setting that tone for what we all know and love. It really was that movie that sort of did it. So Gina gets the first point.
Yeah.
Dude, you guys killed that one. That was a
Prisoner of
great. I was
Azkaban is a
listening to that.
fantastic movie.
I mean, they're all good.
First
I
choice.
hate having to argue against any of these.
But you guys did a valiant effort there. That was fantastic. All right, let's get into round 2. This is going to be fun. I just have a feeling. What element of the wizarding world are you glad doesn't really exist? Okay, we're having fun here. You can take one silly thing out of it. What would you take? What shouldn't be a thing? Gina, you're first.
All right, I gotta go with house elves. First of all, their whole existence makes me sad. Second of all, they're the Jar Jar Binkses of the Harry Potter world. They're
Dobby
so
and Dobby, you're right.
Yeah, like the introduction of Dobby in Chamber of Secrets, the most hated of all the movies, by the way, is just he's so obnoxious, and it was one of those things that maybe they should have left it out of the books. I realize he had a huge role in the books. But also, on top of that, just even in the book world, it's a bummer of a storyline that there are essentially elf slaves that enjoy being slaves to some extent, and it's just so it raises the only one that really even cares about them is Hermione, which also makes me question the other characters and how they can possibly be good individuals if they don't really care that their food is made by slave labor. So yeah, it's just and I think it has some good messages to teach us. But just an annoyance factor coupled with sadness factor, I'm really glad that house elves don't exist.
All right, Spencer?
I went with the dumbest idea in all of fiction. The worst invention by an author. Real life or otherwise. And that's Quidditch. Quidditch... I can't use the words that I want to use to describe Quidditch. Quidditch is so stupid. Quidditch is a game, for those of you who don't know, where
please tell me.
Six people on each side are playing a game where they try to throw a ball through a hoop on a magical broomstick, and it's 10 points for throwing the ball through the hoop. Meanwhile, two people are playing an entirely different game where one of them finds a little marble and it's worth 150 points and the game ends. This is the equivalent of a football game where two players are running around the stands looking for a marble that's worth 100 touchdowns. The game makes no sense. The fact that somebody could win a Quidditch game without finding the snitch is preposterous. It's happened. It's such an event. It's like written in the history books when somebody wins a Quidditch game without catching the snitch. It is so stupid and so poorly thought out that it's really the worst thing J.K. Rowling's ever done, and she wrote mystery novels. She's really got to rewrite the rules of this thing. It's stupid. It endangers children.
He's looking only at me.
You are so mean.
There's history of this fight. Okay.
You are so mean, Spencer.
Well, all right.
It's Quidditch.
It's all right. Well, here, I'm sure, yeah. Let's get Trisha's in this, and then we'll discuss.
Okay, both you guys are breaking my heart, picking things that I absolutely love about this world and saying they shouldn't exist. It's so sad. So the thing that I picked should definitely not exist in this world because it's horrible. I picked the Dementors. If we had the Dementors in real life, they literally feed off people's souls and keep them in a vegetative state forever. So not only is that a horrible thing that they do to people, but they've been used horribly by people, bringing out the worst in people, using them as forms of capital punishment. WTF, evil people and dark wizards. So I think that if they were in real life, which is what we're talking about, not necessarily that they're a bad thing within the story, if they were something that was in real life, it would mean the end of the world and the worst in people.
All right, guys, what's the worst? House elves, Quidditch, or Dementors?
First of all, Quidditch does exist. People play Quidditch.
Yes,
It
there's
just
the
doesn't
International
exist
Quidditch Association.
Yes.
They've had World Cups every year since
There's the
2012.
National American Man-Boy Love Association. It doesn't mean it's right.
How dare you?
The argument was, what are you
Spencer's gone
glad
full
doesn't exist? Also, Quidditch, in terms
There
of
you go.
Quidditch.
Hey, catch it!
Oh, look! I win unless someone scored 15 unanswered goals in a row. I win.
They might have. That's happened.
In the Quidditch World Cup, Ireland wins the cup, but Crumb gets the.
And that's like the miracle on ice. That's like the most amazing thing
you said
ever
that
happening.
never happened.
I said
We
when it
have
happens,
an
it's in the
example
history
of
books.
that happening.
It happened in one of the most major events in the book. It happens. So it never happened. Also, I will say in terms of significance to the story, both the Dementors and Quidditch in general, Quidditch is the thing that, like, it shows a young orphan boy who lived under the stairs that anyone can be a superhero.
Oh yeah, if he inherits enough money to buy the fancy broom.
No, he doesn't buy it. McGonagall buys it for him.
Oh, how nice! He has a rich patron.
McGonagall buys it for
Only
him.
rich kids. It's like ice
first of all,
hockey. Like
the
only
kid-
rich
the
kids
kid
can play Quidditch.
He never got birthday presents in his whole life. Give him this. This is the equivalent of a kid who just is super poor, and a recruiter goes in and sees that he is great at what he does, and he realizes, oh yeah, I can do this. As far as the Dementors go, you can't have good without evil. So you need that evil there. You
Okay,
can't have
but
I would
good
say-
without
guys, the
other.
one thing I will say is, Gina, you keep arguing the significance to the story, and that is not the question. We're arguing which of these
Doesn't
things
exist,
would
yeah.
be not like
Are
to
you glad
exist
doesn't
in
really exist?
real life.
Trisha, tell me
Okay.
there's not a few people you wouldn't want to feed to a Dementor.
Okay.
Give people souls
Just
to
a-
them? Okay,
Serial
I'm
killers.
just gonna say.
just to drive home Dementors a little bit more, like you guys are talking about fantasy things that Quidditch actually does exist in real life. Elves are adorable. Maybe we don't want house elves, but free elves. We can't rule out
yeah,
the
they're-
whole species of elves.
You can't rewrite the history of elves. A vote against me is a vote for slavery.
There are house
Wait,
elves
so
and
your
there
answer?
are
I'm
free
sorry.
elves.
Your answer to slavery would be get rid of the slaves, make the slaves not
just make
exist.
them not
That's a little
exist.
fucking dark. You think I'm evil?
This argument is
Oh, there's poor slaves.
what
Let's
are we
kill them
glad-
all.
What are we glad doesn't
Oh, jeez.
exist in the form that it exists in the book? The
In
question,
the book,
the question is, what would you want to change?
Wait.
Because of course, then I'd say, like, yeah, have free house elves.
Well, you
But
don't
I'm
want to
saying
change house
I
elves. You want to
want-
change house elf
Guys,
employment practices.
Time out. In the canon of Harry Potter, there is a difference and a distinction between house elves and free elves. They are the same type of being. They just have different laws that are governing them.
Yeah, you
So
just
then
don't like their
by
working
saying-
conditions.
Limiting house elves and only free elves.
Yes, I would
No,
love
you want a
free
genocide.
elves.
You
Admit
want an
it.
all-elf genocide.
No, I would love free elves. Only free elves. I don't want the slave elves. I don't want slave labor making my food.
Well, then give them a piece of clothing and then they're free. Problem solved.
Some of them want to be working for those places. And,
know that's a lie.
And in the Battle of Hogwarts, they work for the house. So the elves work for the house, not necessarily the master. Their master is their house. So in the Battle of Hogwarts, these elves are fighting for their master, which is Hogwarts, fighting on the part of good. And they show that they really do have wonderful hearts and a wonderful place
And
in
they're also
society.
incredibly
So don't-
powerful and
Right,
housekeepers.
they're incredibly
Who doesn't
powerful.
want like a magic maid?
And guys, I just need to bring it back to like the seriousness here. Like if we're talking about what should never exist in real life, we have to talk about the Dementors way more seriously
I'm sorry.
than we talk about elves and Quidditch.
People like
Come
Dementors
on,
exist.
guys.
I've dated them. They're alive.
No.
They suck the soul out of you just by their sheer presence. These
And that's all they feed off of. So there's
Happy memories,
no
yes, my
loyalty.
ex.
They just go where the food is to keep sucking
Exactly.
souls.
That's the other thing is they're stupid. They just go where
drain-
the food is. Just
These are-
make an island of bad people. Problem solved.
These are beings that drain peace, hope, happiness out of anything they come in contact with. They also can't be destroyed. Can I bring that up? The Dementors can't be destroyed. That's a huge goddamn
Nothing-
problem in and of itself.
Final thought, Gina.
Nothing drains me of hope more than slavery. It's the same thing. Again, you can't have good without evil. Quidditch actually does exist, so I feel like your argument should be thrown out the window, Spencer. And
I wish that didn't exist either.
You're not eliminating the slavery, though. You're eliminating the slaves, the whole type of being.
I specifically said house elves in my argument.
She did say
I
house
did not
elves.
say free elves. But yeah, even in the movie world, do away with them.
Just because
Jar
they're
Jar
in a bad
Binkses.
situation doesn't mean genocide's necessary.
Jar Jar
Spencer,
Binkses.
Final thoughts?
Well, look, you want to deport 3 million house elves, the whole wizarding world is going to collapse. They won't be able to get anything done. The price of magical goods is going to skyrocket. It's going to be a lot of unforeseen consequences. You're going to tear house elf families apart.
I was trying to end it. All right. Over on the couch, thoughts? Facts?
Okay.
This is amazing.
Oh my God, Spencer, what did life do to you? Like you need to get yourself a Patronus fast, man.
Hey, Dolores Umbridge had a Patronus, so can
I
I.
have to say that I literally am crashing the fact checker because I could not stay away from this fight, and it is delivering everything that I needed.
This is
it
a
to.
good one.
This
a good
is
fight.
this is a knockdown drag out. This is spectacular. I have to say there were some really good answers on Twitter. Igor Boca said Draco Malfoy. Some people were naming characters. Panda3391 says love potions, aka Rohypnol. Which also
That's a lot lot of dark shit in this book.
Also, ladies doing our job for us, and indeed for the Quidditch Cup in the 4th book, Crumb catches the snitch, but Ireland wins because they are so many points up, and it is entirely possible, and in fact common for it to happen in a lot of games. So, and also, we checked it, and Dementors cannot be destroyed.
They can't be destroyed, but their numbers can be reduced, and they can be weakened, indicating that they do maybe eventually die. But based on these arguments, I gotta say, if the question is what should not exist in our world, it has to be the Dementors. You guys all made amazing arguments.
Yeah, well, I was just about to say the same thing. It's clearly the Dementors. I mean, we can maybe say that parts of Quidditch are stupid, and obviously slavery is bad, but the House Elves are sort of doing it because they want to do it. The Dementors are terrible. I think Trisha gets that point.
Thank you.
Good battle, though. That was a lot of fun.
That was so funny.
That Quidditch debate went on for even longer when we wrote the Harry Potter trailer.
I'm just glad it's on record.
But you lost, Spencer.
Yeah. It's on record that you lost.
All right, round 3. Here we go. This is a fun one as well.
Don't lose your wand.
Sorry, it's very important. If you could own one magical item from any Harry Potter film, which one would it be? So now we're going to go the other way. What would we take away? What's the one thing you wish you could have? Spencer, you're first this round.
Well, I thought about a wand, but that won't do me much good because I'm not magic and it only channels what's already there. So I went with one of the Deathly Hallows, the Resurrection Stone. Not the Sorcerer's Stone, which gives you eternal life and will drive you crazy, but the Resurrection Stone, which brings back the dead, not back from life, not as zombies, but it just lets you commune with the dead. It lets you speak with people who've passed, loved ones, figures from history, whoever you like to have a few words with. And I think that it provides the biggest balance of a cool thing that you could acquire and a fun insight into the other world, into people's lives, without the risk of going insane with power that some of the other devices contain.
All right, Trisha, what are you picking?
I am picking the Cloak of Invisibility, another one of the Deathly Hallows. The Cloak of Invisibility is the only of the Hallows that was not originally acquired for the purposes of cheating death. So it's good in nature. It's ultimately a piece that symbolizes survivability. And using the Cloak of Invisibility in real life, you could use it to defend yourself, you could use it to acquire intel. These are all just really cool things. And how many of us at some point or other in our life haven't thought, even if we're just at a party we don't want to be at, I'd really like to be invisible right now.
All right, Gina?
I'm going to go with the most practical one, which is the time turner. I mean, who doesn't want to be able to go back 5 minutes in their life and correct a mistake, or 2 months in their life and correct a mistake? You could basically, all of those little mistakes that you have made, go back and fix them. Or you could use it like Hermione does to get even more knowledge. She uses it to take extra classes. So that she can learn from many different classes. So you could there's no end to the amounts of things that you could do. You wouldn't get bored of it. If you missed a show that you liked, you could go back and watch it.
So it's like a DVR.
Yeah. I mean, that's just one of the many things that you could do with it. But yeah, there's just, you could go back in time and be like, hey, 100% Donald Trump is going to win this election. Maybe if anyone doesn't want to,
you got 5 minutes to change it. Good luck.
No, you can go back as far. You can turn it as many times as you want. You can.
Is it 5 minutes?
Do great, good.
You get 5 minutes in the past to do what you want before
not true. This is false.
So there are actually 2 types of time turners, that both a typical and the true. Do you know which one you're choosing?
I'm choosing the one from Prisoner of Azkaban, where Dumbledore says 3 turns should do you, and she goes back several hours.
She can only go back up to 5 hours max with that device.
Nerd. Props. I assume that's correct. We'll find out.
We'll find out.
Anyway, you still get it.
But even 5 hours is. Do you know how much stuff you could do with 5 hours worth of hindsight? I mean, it would be indispensable.
You're right. You do get a lot of. Whoa, what is what? You do get a lot of time, Gina. You get a lot of time to ruin the future. You are so setting yourself up for a Back to the Future 2 Biff situation. Every single time you go back in time, if you're seen, you fucked up the future. You could make someone unborn. You could make someone have a completely different life just by squishing the wrong butterfly.
But talk
Did you
about
see that Ashton Kutcher movie? Did you learn nothing?
Here's the thing. Talk about messing up the laws of nature. In the story about the Deathly Hallows, the Resurrection Stone, it says it can't bring people back from the dead. They're just a shadow of their former self, and then they are miserable. In the story,
Who's miserable?
The people who are brought back in the story.
They didn't look miserable when they came back with Harry.
It's
he was
canon.
talking to all of his old dead friends, and they
they're
were
just-
nice to
it is-
him and
it
gave
is
him nice
canon.
They're a
advice.
visual
In the story.
representation of what was once there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And in the story itself, it's the woman that is brought back, the true love of the man that owns the Deathly Hallows. It specifically says she is unhappy, and he eventually
That's
kills
apocryphal.
himself.
That's just
He
from
uses
Beetle
it
the Bard,
once.
which we know is exaggerated for
He
poetic
uses
effect.
it once and then kills himself. He's so horrified by what he's done.
That is absolutely
that he
true. It
kills
drives the
himself.
original owner insane.
So
So
you're
I don't
thinking
know that would be something I'd
Listen,
want
this
to
is
do.
movie fights. I can only go off the evidence in the film, which is when Harry has the Resurrection Stone and he talks to
No,
his parents.
not
He talks
true.
to
The story of
Severus,
the Deathly Hallows.
The
is
story of the Deathly
absolutely
Hallows is in the films.
The
It doesn't
story of
talk
the
about him
Deathly
going
Hallows-
nuts, though.
Yes, it does. It says
does.
he kills himself.
Well, the proof is in the pudding because his friends come back and they're not nuts. He has a nice conversation with all of them. And
So-
furthermore,
so-
have you seen or read The Cursed Child?
Listen, I
Because
know what
a
happens
time turner
when you
ruins the
abuse
future.
time
I
turner.
pulled a quote from
Spencer,
J.K.
you
Rowling.
can't say that you can't use Beetle the Bard, but you can use Cursed
And
Child.
Can I use JK? Can I use Mama JK?
No, if you're saying you
can.
can only
In an
use what's in the
interview,
movie,
she wrote, I went too
you
lightheartedly
can't-
into the
you can't
subject
make
of
me-
time travel.
you
It opened a
cannot-
vast number of
no,
problems for me.
no.
If wizards could go back in
I
time.
veto this. If we're talking about just what happens in the movie, the time turner saves Sirius Black's life. It saves the Hippogriff's life, and it's just.
And then it's immediately destroyed because they realize
Yeah,
how
they do
catastrophic
destroy
it
it.
should
in the
be.
movie, it
She
does
gives it back.
all of this good. It's the reason that Sirius Black doesn't die.
Because
like, you know-
Hermione's such a
All
good
right, yeah.
person.
Go
In
ahead,
general,
Trisha, get
it's
some- yeah.
unstable. It breaches the laws of time.
You're
which
talking
can
about the
be,
time turner?
Yeah,
Okay.
which can be catastrophic. Which is
be.
why there's so many of the. That's why the magical ministry has so many laws surrounding how it can be used, how many of them are regulated to be used, etc. If you kill your past or future self, like we've seen in other movies, or you can lead to people not being birthed, or Voldemort maybe winning Battle of Hogwarts, etc., etc. Time travel. But what I'm going to say about the Cloak of Invisibility, going back to that because we haven't talked about that in a while, is that is the one item Harry doesn't destroy at the end of the story, and there's a reason for that.
He's a
It's
little
because
creep.
it's the one item that is ultimately there for good. Like I said before, it's a symbol of survival. It can be used for protection, to hide from attackers. So as far as the functionality of it, defense, used to gather intel.
Okay,
It
let's
can be
call
used to
bullshit
not
on
be
what you're
social
saying
when you
right
want
now.
to be
In terms
social.
You
of
want
real
that
life-
to hide from attackers. You are going
How
to use
often-
that to creep on your friends. You're going to use that to be a
I just
sexual
said
deviant.
gather
You're-
intel as my second.
You're going to use that to rob
use.
people. It's going to turn you into a disgusting, creepy person.
Yes,
all of the
That's
uses
true.
of
Does
that.
it turn Harry into a disgusting, creepy person?
Yeah, he breaks all kinds of laws. He's
So
always
you
where
would
he
say
should be.
Harry Potter's a disgusting, creepy
No,
person.
also,
totally.
I will say this. In the Harry Potter world, sure, it's a great thing. In the real world, how many things can you actually do about it? How often are you actually getting attacked? You would get bored of that so fast. And
How often
would
have
bring
you
it out
thought-
as a party trick?
I do. Well, okay, great. So you're at a party you don't want to be at, and you're going to ghost, and you're going to
You
spend
get
an
a
hour
magic item
saying
to cure
bye
your
to
social
everybody.
anxiety? Just go to a
Maybe.
therapist.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Exactly.
I'm telling you, these are things that are all awesome to use in the real life. And if we're talking about real life, I don't want to do time travel in real life
Well,
and
you know what I don't
potentially
want to do?
kill myself
I don't want
or
to know
mess
what my
up.
friends really think
I
about
don't
me.
want to bring my dead friends back as a visual
You're right. I don't wanna
representation
do that.
of
I
what
feel
they
like-
left on my soul.
I want to talk to JFK. I want to talk to Jesus.
Well,
I want to talk to all
what?
these.
It only brings-
It only brings back people as
you
far as
loved.
the imprint that they left on your soul. So I don't know what personal interaction you've had with JFK,
Many.
but that's the only part that you
I will
would
say
bring
this:
back.
the invisibility cloak would be like a Spencer's gift. It would be cool for like 3 hours, and then you'd be like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with this.
It would turn you into a
whereas
sexual
A
predator.
time turner,
No way.
you would literally be like, crap, I was 5 minutes late to that meeting. I'm gonna turn back time.
Invisibility
and be
is
on time.
right
All
up there
all
with being able
all
to fly as far as like coolest things ever.
Because I'm about to not give anyone a point because all three of these sound terrible.
There's not many choices.
Right. So let's imagine it's for good. Let's imagine a good person is using it. Last thought, Trisha.
If we're imagining a good person is using it, I will go back to the fact that the creation of the other two devices could cause, even unintentionally, if a good person's using it, catastrophic downsides.
Got it. Okay. Gina?
I will say a good person does use it in the movies, which is what we're talking about. It's Hermione, and it does amazing and good things. It's why Sirius is still alive. It helps her get extra knowledge. It's why Buckbeak is still alive. It does all those good things in the hands of a good person.
Spencer?
I'd say the same exact thing is true of Harry Potter. He's a good person who uses it in the movie. This is a wounded soul who uses it to commune with all of the people who he's lost, and they provide him the comfort that he needs to psychologically heal and face Voldemort.
You just said he was a horrible person like 5 minutes ago.
Well, when he has the cloak on, he's a little creepy guy.
I'm just giving all 3 of them points. I mean, you got all 3 points. Sorry.
I'll take it.
Whatever, be mad at me. But it's still a fun conversation. I don't know where to go there. Anything to add?
One thing worth noting is that in the apocryphal story of the Deathly Hallows, he does use it to hide from death, the invisibility cloak, and until he's ready to die, and then he greets him as an old friend. So while he technically doesn't use it to try to cheat death, it does have the property of helping him hide from death.
And he does. Harry loses the stone, the resurrection stone. He doesn't necessarily destroy it, but he loses it with the intent that nobody would ever find it again. And you are correct. 5 hours.
5 hours without, because you can go further back than 5 hours, but not without causing harm.
Yes.
Got it. All right.
But you guys are amazing.
Yeah, this is
so much
amazing.
fun.
And
fun.
like you're making our job kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, you're making my job really hard. All right, round 4. Let's go here. Ready? There it is. What is the most shocking moment in the Harry Potter series? Again, key word. What is the most shocking? Shocking moment. A lot of shocking moments happen. Trisha, back to you. Who's up?
Okay, I'm going to say the most shocking moment of the series is Dumbledore's death. Up until this point in the series, Dumbledore has been our hope. He's been our guiding light. He's been the one who knows everything, who's been the one who's able to fix all the problems. Like, when stuff really goes wrong, everyone's kind of like, Dumbledore, please! And he fixes everything. And so when he goes into this final scene, you expect that same outcome. You expect Dumbledore and the good guys to win. And in this moment, not only does Dumbledore not win, he's murdered. And he's murdered by the big baddie. And it's just everything we're against in the Harry Potter series that we've been led to believe. Good should conquer evil. The love, the magic of love is stronger than the magic of evil. And Dumbledore's death puts all of that into question and is a serious, serious WTF moment.
Gina.
I'm going to say when Hedwig dies. Hedwig is Harry's sort of first magical friend, basically. And Hedwig is oftentimes, when Harry goes back for the summer, is the only connection he has to the magical world a lot of the times, because it's the only thing that his horrible aunt and uncle will let him sort of keep in his room. And Hedwig is truly innocent, too. So it's just horrifying and shocking. There's no reason for Hedwig to die. She doesn't play a part in the larger story. She could have just survived. She brings Harry so much comfort and so much friendship, and is his first introduction into the magical world, and plus a gift from Hagrid. And it was horrifying for me to read, and it was horrifying for me to see.
Spencer?
I picked the graveyard scene at the end of the 4th movie, Goblet of Fire. This is the first moment when shit got real. This is shock on top of shock on top of shock. It's the first time there's a real death with substance, way before Dumbledore gets killed. They kill Cedric Diggory. They don't only kill Cedric Diggory, they kill Robert Pattinson, okay? Good. That's a huge shock. You don't expect that guy to go out after a couple movies. This is the death of a child. This isn't the death of an adult involved in a war. This is the almost casual killing off of a kid. That's when shit gets real. And layering on top of that, you get to see Voldemort with his body for the first time. This is the first major loss. It's the start of the Second Wizarding War. This is when you realize that the stakes have been raised, and it's going to be a different type of franchise from here on out.
I will say this. Dumbledore's death, while horrible, is not shocking because Yoda needs to die for Luke to take his place. Dumbledore can't be around the entire time to hold Harry's hand, and that death is what rallies Harry to really come into his own and be his own. And also, we know from very early on how old Dumbledore is, and yes, he's very powerful.
Dumbledore
but it's
already
also
died
said,
after the second movie.
It's man.
Jesus, Spencer.
It's said all along that Dumbledore is the one person that that Voldemort fears. So you can't keep him around until the end.
Well, he doesn't
You
only have to die
Harry.
for story reasons. He or for like story structure reasons. He has to die for foreshadowing reasons. Dumbledore knows he's going to die, and he sets it up throughout that entire movie. He's got the weird hand, and he's saying, "Listen, I don't have much longer to go." So the fact that he dies a little earlier than advertised is not that shocking. And the fact that you said yourself, the big baddie kills Dumbledore. Okay, the bad guy killed the good guy. Why is that shocking?
That it's totally shocking because it's not just the fact that Dumbledore died. Like you mentioned, he's old. Maybe he needs to pass the gauntlet. It's how he died. It's that we thought it was going to be Draco that killed him. We thought it was good. And then when Snape comes in, who up until this point, yes, we're going back and forth. Is Snape the bad guy? Is there something more to Snape? I'm just not sure. I don't know about you guys. When I read the books the first time, I wanted to believe there was some good in Snape. And then when this happened, it was a complete shocker. It made me think, okay, F Snape, he's horrible.
How shocking can it be when he
I
made...
can't believe he killed the person who is the person we all look up to in this world. He was the leader. To have him die at the hands of Snape is making the unbelievable believable. And when the question
we knew it was possible
is it
long
shocking?
before that moment, because you knew that Draco was... I'm pointing with the wand. You knew that Draco was going to assassinate Dumbledore. That was the plot.
You didn't.
No, you knew he was trying to.
Draco was actually
That
going
was
to pull
in
it
the
off.
movie. Well, okay, but you know he was trying to, and then you know that Snape makes an unbreakable vow to
And when
assist him in
Dumbledore
his duties.
says, when Dumbledore says to his longtime friend Severus, please,
that means please kill me.
no one thought he was actually going to do it. So when he came out with Avada Kedavra at that very moment, shock and dismay all over, to the point where, like you said, it means please do it. These are the theories fans had to come up with online because they were so distraught, so shocked. For months, people are like, what does Severus please mean? Was he asking him to kill it? Because Dumbledore has to be in charge.
I'm just not that shocked by a foreshadowed event of an old man being killed by a bad guy.
Everyone has to
Agreed.
justify it because it's so shocking.
Again, upsetting, but not shocking. Whereas, and I heard.
Oh, I didn't even talk about yours because yours is the death of a bird.
Chuckle when, first of all, you're a terrible human being.
Who loves a bird?
I think everyone watching now on Twitter just hugged their pet a little bit closer.
Not their bird, because they don't want to be hugged.
Hedwig is not just a bird to Harry.
He's glorified email.
Hedwig is the first thing that Harry that truly unconditionally loves Harry and is
That's Hagrid. Hagrid's the first magical thing that comes into Harry's life.
Okay.
The first magical thing, but first of all, Hagrid gives Harry Hedwig.
He should have given him a cell phone.
And
He could have just texted his
and
friends.
here's the thing: in terms of shock, because you were arguing that like, oh yes, that was sad, but not shocking. In terms of shocking, I don't think anyone thought that Hedwig was going to be killed in such a quick, brutal manner.
I forgot he died. I remembered that Mad-Eye Moody died. I remembered that one of the twins got hurt in that scene. I forgot that Hedwig died.
That doesn't mean it's shocking.
Seeing
that
a bird
means
die.
You have no soul.
Hedwig's death.
Well, that
Do you
True.
eat chicken? Do you eat turkey? What are you going to have for Thanksgiving? Because you're eating a bird.
Okay, let's not diminish Hedwig's importance because he's lovely and innocent, and I agree with Gina on that. I do not agree, however, that his death was shocking, and that's because if you remember the scene where he dies, they're trying to hide who Harry is. Having Hedwig with Harry is a dead giveaway, and no pun intended, as to which one is Harry. So did I see it coming that they were going to have to eliminate Hedwig? Unfortunately, yeah.
Well, none of you guys
So
have talked about
does anyone have
expecting
anything
mine,
negative
which is the
to say
Empire
about
Strikes
Spencer?
Back moment of this franchise. This is
feel
where
like-
the hand
here's the
gets
thing,
cut off.
I really
Harry's
feel like-
blood gets spilled.
Okay, I feel
Voldemort
like if
comes
you're
back.
talking about moment, you're talking about like chapters and chapters in the book.
I'm
You're
talking
not
about a
talking about
scene.
moment. You're talking about like the entire ending of an entire
Even
movie.
that
And
scene-
an
It's
entire-
got to be maybe
that's
5 minutes
Were
long.
were you surprised that Voldemort was going to become corporeal? No,
Thank
he's
you.
already spent
Thank
how
you.
many books trying to do that, so that was a very serious
you.
No,
threat.
this-
Also, you're
I
not-
did not expect
Were
it.
we surprised
This is
that
the
he
no shame
killed
moment
that?
because
Were
all
we-
of their efforts have failed. For all
Spencer.
the 3 movies have failed, and he's
So you
back.
thought it
Were
would just
you-
be 7 books of him trying and failing.
Right.
Look, none of these are shocking because we read the books first, so we knew it was all going to happen.
Okay,
Spencer,
but did you really?
Were
from a
you surprised
cinematic
that he
experience?
killed a child when
Yes.
we know that Harry's scar came from him trying to kill a baby?
I don't understand what you just said, but I was shocked that he killed Cedric Diggory, and in such a casual way.
He casually
goes,
killed
kill the spare.
Bajillions
That's
of
brutal.
people. That's how
Yeah.
he became he who must
Yeah,
not
but
be
you don't
named.
see it. You see the death of a
We
kid.
But
see
also you
James and
reference
Lily Potter,
Pettigrew.
and the whole scar on Harry's head is because he tried to kill an innocent baby. We should not be shocked that he tried to kill
also,
a child.
you referenced that Pettigrew is back, and it's like, yeah, we found out in the last movie he was back. So the
All right.
fact
No,
that
I
he's
wasn't
now
shocked about that. I was
Hold on,
shocked that he
let's be-
cut off his fucking hand and threw it in a cauldron.
All right, just to be clear, pick a moment in that scene because it is a long scene. What moment are you picking?
I would say when
Cedric?
they both get there, and then immediately he goes, kill the spare, and they kill Cedric
So we
Diggory.
have the death of the child, we have the death of the owl, and we have the death of Dumbledore. Last thought as to why that's more effective than the other two. And to knock out the other two, please. Spencer, you're starting this time.
Well, this is the first death of consequence in the series that you see depicted in this way. I think that this set the stakes to a high level where the point is that the kids are no longer safe. That this is the moment where it changes where, oh shit, the kids can die in this movie. They've seemed to have a plot armor for the first three things, and he's the chosen one. But now you really get the sense that that Voldemort is back, and he's so serious and he means so much business that he will murder children without a second thought.
Gina.
Okay, talk about no one caring about an owl. No one cares about Robert Pattinson. So his death, when you watch it, you're pretty
Tell
much
that
just
to
like,
every
oh,
13-year-old
oh
girl.
good, he's dead. Now he won't
Circa
go on to make the
2004.
terrible Twilight movies. And in terms of Dumbledore dying, again, sad moment, not a shocking moment. A moment that everyone saw coming. Anyone who's watched any Star Wars movie, who knows anything about movie structure, knows, yeah, this dude's gonna die.
Trisha, final thought?
Just saying that it's a Star Wars moment. It was shocking in Star Wars 2. That doesn't make it not shocking. If you're talking about the death of Hedwig versus the death of Cedric versus the death of Dumbledore, no question who means more to the overall series out of those three characters. It's absolutely Dumbledore, and it's not just in the fact that he dies, it's in the fact that he's murdered by his friend.
Fact checking.
Great arguments. There's some people saying that another shocking moment for them was realizing that Snape had been a good guy all the time.
Yeah, and then another one of Sirius being a good guy. A lot of positive moments that were shockers in Twitter. But it's worth also noting Wormtail kills Cedric Diggory. Voldemort says kill the spare, but then Wormtail actually performs the killing curse. Also, I'd like everybody to remember back to when Snape kills Dumbledore was a meme. Do you remember those days? Good days.
Jerks posting spoilers.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, guys.
So many
This
spoilers.
is actually a lot closer in the poll than I would. It's 44% for Dumbledore.
Wait, don't tell me yet. Sorry.
Okay.
Let me try to make the call.
Just kidding.
Close, though.
Based on those, and it really, you guys were all even until that last, so I was really taking your final thoughts there as important. I gotta give it to Spencer just an edge because I feel like you guys didn't really hit him as hard as everyone else was hitting you two. I just didn't hear enough as to why that was, and it was pretty shocking. And then when you said it's that the kids are no longer safe, it really does change the tone of the movies. We did sort of see this coming, and it is maybe fair that some people forgot that Hedwig died. So Spencer gets that point. Go ahead. But what did the pollers
Yeah,
say?
he came in second place with 33%. 44% was Dumbledore's death, and 23% for Hedwig.
No animal lovers, huh?
Hey, I love animals.
There's a difference between loving animals and loving birds.
It was sad when Hedwig died.
All right,
for
we got
sure.
one more round. It's tied, guys. Ooh, shoot. It's tied. All right, this is a long show, but hey, we're doing it because it's Harry Potter. What actor gives the best performance throughout the Potter franchise? Best performance. I want to be clear. We're picking best performance. I don't want to be fair. Pick their movie where they were the best. I don't want. Let's not go a whole.
Oh, if I could go single movie, my answer would change.
Well,
Yeah, the question was.
all right. So you're fine. I'm not gonna change it. I just thought some of these characters are in more than the other characters, is what I'm trying to be fair on. So just throw that out there. I don't want that to be the reason why you guys win. Well, mine's in more movies, is what I'm trying to say.
Got it.
Fair? Okay, so that's not
That
an argument in
argument's
this.
eliminated.
So fair. You can use the franchise, but I'm just trying to avoid, well, mine's in more movies, because that's not fair. All right, Gina, you're up first.
I'm going to go with Richard Harris as Dumbledore. I remember reading the books and then seeing the movie, and he was the one character that truly, truly felt like how he was written. He was so warm and trustworthy, but also you really believed that this man had incredible power. And I realized like he comes off in the films as sort of frail and this and that, and I think when you look deeper, it was all an act to sort of cover up again, sort of that Yoda moment where you realize, oh crap, he doesn't need this cane. He has incredible power within him, and you really do trust him. You watch the movie and you see so many similar people that you would know, like your kindly grandfather, but a teacher, and he perfectly encompasses all of those things that he needs to be, and he by far had sort of the hardest challenge because he was a grown man who had lived for so many years in the book, and to be able to properly portray that versus a 14-year-old kid or something like that is so difficult, and he pulls it off beautifully.
All right, Spencer.
All right, I picked Dame Maggie Smith in the role of Professor Minerva McGonagall. She was J.K. Rowling's personal choice for the role. She signaled her out specifically. She did this role. Speaking of frail but projecting strength, she was fighting cancer while she was filming these. So she really, you would never know it looking at it. She brings a lot of layers and a lot of depth and a lot of interesting quirks to arguably a pretty simple character. She's the stern headmistress of Gryffindor, but Maggie Smith just brings this motherly warmth to it that maybe isn't written into the character. She can't help shining through with humor, with sass, with wit. She tells it like it is. She just brings layers and layers to a character that could have just been the tropey, I'm a stern British headmistress, but she actually brings a lot more to it.
Trisha.
I think it's no contest here. The best performance of the series by far is Alan Rickman as Severus Snape. He is mysterious, he's tragic, he is by far the most complex of any of these characters, constantly playing his emotions close to his vest up until the point when he reveals what his motives were all along. And he does it in such a way that it is the most, as I mentioned before in this fight, the most moving performance of the entire series in that very moment. But he kills it throughout the entire franchise as well. He's funny while simultaneously being dark, while being eloquent, while moving us emotionally. It's an amazing performance.
All right, why does he suck, guys?
Here's why Alan Rickman sucks.
This is a sad round.
I know, right?
It's such a sad round.
Here's the thing. I will say, yes, all three of these actors are incredible. But in terms of playing an understated performance, Alan Rickman, he sort of wavers throughout. At some points, he is sort of over the top when he's sort of flapping around and doing this. Same with Maggie Smith. I feel like they both really leaned into it. But to me, the one that brought more than
he
what
leaned
was
out.
just
he leaned
written.
Far out.
But I think he was perfect for what it needed, which was this figure that you know is going to be there, you trust is going to be there, that really loves all of the kids. And I think you saw this, and yes, he did give a very understated performance.
Yeah, he
but in
looked
a
like he
world
was at
where
death's door.
Well, be careful, Spencer. He was.
But also in a world where
careful.
everyone is overacting, he was the only one that had the courage to just step back and let the character and let his own chops speak for what they were.
Well, I'm not
So
sure
I
if that
think-
serves the character the best,
I
because
think Richard
Dumbledore
Harris-
is going
yeah.
through. There was such a lack of urgency on his part that you almost didn't get that there were larger stakes going on. When Richard Gambon took over, he was like more frantic. He had a little bit of a energy to him because the whole wizarding world was falling apart. And if Dumbledore is freaking out, you knew to freak out.
I think
Except I
Richard
feel like
Harris
that's
is at a
not-
disadvantage
Yeah,
here
that's not a
because
great argument, because
he
he was
didn't
in
get
the
a chance in the first
Yes.
two films to explore the more complex nature of Dumbledore. But I would argue that as a reason against Richard Harris being the best performance of the series, because he didn't get a chance to tackle the real meat of Dumbledore. Like when you look at Richard Harris as Dumbledore, you think this is the only wizard that Voldemort's afraid of. Do I believe that out of what we see in the first two films? No,
I actually do.
don't.
I actually do believe it. I agree that the first two films he didn't have much to do, but I think that with what he had, he portrayed that inner strength that he had. Because I think yes, he's at a disservice because we didn't get to see those later. We didn't get to see him actually dueling. We didn't get to see him actually doing all of these things. But that's how confident I am that he is the best actor, because he is so good with what little we saw.
I mean, that
of him.
sounds like dream casting him for the 3, 4, 5 movies he wasn't in.
No, I'm just saying that we saw what we needed to know that he
Here's
was
why
an
Alan
incredible
Rickman's a bad
Based
actor.
on the performances we saw, I don't know that he had enough, that the bar was high enough of what he had to deal with to really deliver it in such a way that it would be best performance. And then to talk about Maggie Smith,
Dame
and
Maggie
McGonagall,
Smith.
I love her. She's an incredibly likable actress with amazing training and gravitas. But again, I will go with her role itself doesn't have that many challenges for her to overcome. Like you said it yourself, that she's a rather two-dimensional role. Now, did
And the
Maggie bring
performance
layers
gives it
to
a
that
third dimension,
because
yes.
she's an amazing actress? Absolutely. But I think in no way can we compare either of those performances to
Here's the
Alan
problem
Rickman's
with
performance.
Except it-
Snape.
Go ahead, go for it.
I will say that
I'm
it feels like
looking
you're
forward to this.
It feels like you're
With
making the argument that Andy said we couldn't make
Snape.
because
No.
Snape
Because
is
of the
in
role is so
many.
meaty, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, it's the role, though, that we're talking about, not that there was more screen
Okay, hold on.
time.
You picked Snape first, right? I know I did. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. You're not supposed to love Severus Snape. Alan Rickman, you love Alan Rickman because it's Alan Rickman.
You hate Alan Rickman in the first movie.
Never hate
I
Alan
did
Rickman
not hate
throughout
Alan
the
Rickman.
entire franchise. You're going, oh my god! Every time he's on screen, you go, oh boy, Snape's here. Snape is supposed to be a shiftless, sniveling, hook-nosed, oily, angry little man that James Potter rightfully bullied. And this is a guy that he's like suave, he's handsome, he's witty.
What?
That's what Alan Rickman brought to the role, was this lovability. And yeah, it's great, but it's not the character that he
Alan
was supposed to
Rickman
be in the
made very
story.
specific choices to not be lovable and suave. He had a
He's
crafted,
charming.
he
He's
had
like
a
always has a
crafted
little turn
speech
of
pattern.
phrase.
Nope, he had a crafted speech pattern, which was very creepy. Very specific,
creepy.
stoic
Everyone
and
loves
staccato movements. These are choices that he made. Again, Maggie Smith is kind of doing the Maggie Smith thing. We've seen it before. I love it. It's amazing. Alan Rickman went out of his way to make amazing choices to bring this character from the book to the
The character from the book is not suave. He's not like all dashing and is
No,
all black.
but
with
he
the,
goes
with the
from the
cloak.
most hated to the most loved, and I believe
He's
that
never
Alan
the most
Rickman,
hated in that franchise.
Alan Rickman did that beautifully. I disagree
You
with
never
you.
hate Snape.
Gina, I'm gonna get you
disagree
in.
with you.
Thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I maintain the fact that I think that these two roles were slightly overacted, and I think the only one in all of the franchise, including Robbie Coltrane, who also did a great job. If you look at any character, they're all acting so much, and you can see them acting so much. And I know that they're doing it because it's a children's franchise, and they're still amazing actors. But the only one that sort of had the confidence in the role and in himself that if he underplayed it, it would still come through. And if you listen to him talk about it, he's talked about how I had to play a character that was several hundred years old, that was or not several hundred, but like older than he is.
Something, yeah.
And like he was like, so I slowed the speech pattern down. Talk about speech patterns. He did all of these same things. It's just you don't notice it.
Well, I don't know how you can call
Well,
Maggie
then I want
Smith.
him to act more if you don't notice it. I want him to show me the powerful
And I
side
don't
of
know how you can
Dumbledore
throw
that I
on
didn't get.
overacting and Maggie Smith in the same sentence. The beauty of her character is in all the little moments, the little winks she gives Harry. It's the little moments of heart and warmth that she gives underneath this cruel exterior. So I think we've run out of things to say.
Over there on the couch, thoughts?
That was sad. That was
Yeah.
real sad. Just that entire series is so chock full of exemplary actors, like some of the best of our generation. There have been a couple of shout-outs to other smaller players on Twitter, like Kenneth Branagh as
Yes.
Lockhart,
I love Kenneth
Gary
Branagh.
Oldman as Sirius
Gary
Black,
Oldman.
and also. God, who's the other one?
Gary Oldman was my second choice for this.
Remus Lupin played. So it's
David Thewlis.
Yeah, and Dumbledore is 150 years old, ish. So I don't know. This is really tough, and also a couple of people on Twitter asked, did Trish win the coin toss on this one again?
Yeah.
because Yeah, everybody felt like they were kind of fighting an uphill battle against Alan Rickman.
I gotta say, I have a really big soft spot for Richard Harris's Dumbledore. I actually loved his Dumbledore, but I also loved Michael Gambon's Dumbledore. So what are you gonna do? Maggie Smith is just exemplary and unspeakably good. However,
All right, well, hold on.
it's gotta be Snape.
Hold on. All right, hold on. Here's where I'm stuck. I think, Gina, you have a very good argument for Richard Harris, and that's where I was leading until Spencer gave me that speech about Snape. Like, that was really impressive. Like, to be able to go against the favorite, and you even nodded.
Yeah.
But the fact is, we did love Snape, and he's not written that way, and that is a very, very good argument that came out of nowhere.
I disagree. I don't think if you were already an Alan Rickman fan, you loved
I gotta give
Snape.
Spencer the nod just for that. Was an amazing argument that he was able to pull that. So I give Spencer the point.
Wow.
Just because I think that was, you gotta, sometimes it's really about the argument, and the fact that you two were both suddenly agreeing in a way, and even I was, of like, he's very suave and that's not how it's written, and that's the performance.
Rewatch the first movie, everyone.
I gotta be impressed by that tactic. All right.
Wow, I'll take it. Drank my luck potion this morning.
I was very close though for Gina. Well, here's what was the poll? I'm sure Snape won.
The poll is 7% Richard Harris, 19% Maggie Smith, and 74% Alan Rickman. But you guys really are making amazing arguments. You're
Yes.
big fans.
Go ahead and hate me. I'm listening to the arguments. That was a strong argument. All right, here we go. So we're tied. Gina, Trisha. This is going to be a blind fight, speed round, tiebreaker. I saved this just in case this happened, and now it actually happened.
Yeah, right.
I have 3 names in my hand. I have Ron,
Oh god.
I have Hermione, and I have Harry. You're going to pick a name, and you're going to have to defend why they are the best.
All right.
It's completely random. Trisha, would you like to pick out of the sorting hat first?
Sure.
Andy, that's not a sorting hat. That's just
That's
how it
the one they could buy.
Wait, I can't tell if I have 2.
you
Oh
for-
yeah, got it.
Okay. Trisha?
Yeah.
Well, I know what wasn't picked. Hermione.
Oh man!
Someone's got the Ron.
Who's got Ron?
I got the wrong.
There it is. The only Funko Pop we can get at the store.
For a good reason.
I got
All right, Ron.
the wrong. Okay.
Ron versus Harry.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, I'll give you a few moments. This is a blind fight. I get it. I'm gonna time it loosely. Time this loosely.
Who's going
You-
first?
You picked first, Trisha. You've had a little bit more time.
Okay, that's
Are you ready?
That's fair. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's
All
do
right.
this.
This is about a minute. I'm keeping track of you.
Okay,
but go
so
ahead.
it's gotta be real
It's not
fast.
speed. You can go a little bit longer, but go ahead.
Okay, I'm gonna argue that Ron's the best character because he's the everyman. We all can see ourselves in Ron. He's got some insecurity. He's the underdog. He struggles all throughout with his friends all overshadowing him. He's the most realistic of all of the characters for sure, but his heart's in the right place. When he's put to the test, he's just as capable as his friends, and he shows that throughout the series and has the most to overcome.
Okay. Gina?
Okay, I'm arguing for Harry, and here's the thing. This is what it comes down to for me. How many people do you know, especially in stories, that start off with such a miserable, terrible, terrible life, and then immediately are heaped with fame and with fortune and all of this, and manage to still keep their empathy throughout, and still are willing to sacrifice themselves for their friends and for the greater good time and time again. This is a guy that was crapped on by life so much.
All right.
Can we rebut?
Yeah, we're going to give you a couple rebuts because this is
Okay.
important. Go ahead.
Okay. The one thing I'll argue against Harry Potter is that a lot does get handed to him. Yes, he starts off really bad, but then everywhere he goes, he's the boy who lived, and everyone wants to sit next to him. He's kind of the cool kid. He's all of a sudden, he got fame. He's got a bank account that magically has tons of money in it, so he's got no money problems. He gets put on the Quidditch team as a first year, which never happens. These are all amazing things for Harry. He's really not very self-aware of what's going on outside
10 more
of how
seconds
things
as to why
affect him.
Ron.
Oh, you want me to argue
I'm
more
giving you
on?
10 more seconds. Yeah, I heard your good argument against Harry, but now I'm giving you 10 more seconds for Ron.
Because Ron's heart is in the right place, and when it comes down to it, he's just as capable as his friends, as he shows.
Okay. Gina, go ahead when you're ready.
Okay, I think to pretend that Harry has it easy is not paying attention to anything that happens. Time and time again, it's, ooh, the boy who lived, we love him, and then one little thing happens and everyone turns against him. Everyone hates him. It's the kind of, you can't please everyone all the time, and he manages to make it through and still keep his humanity, keep his empathy. And in terms of Ron, he doesn't really prove himself at all, and also he's kind of racist throughout all the books. Like, he doesn't care about house elves. He's also, talk about having things handed to him, he's the only one of the 3 characters who grew up in the magical world, and he is the least aware of everything going on in the magical world. He doesn't care about politics.
Okay, I'm gonna give you one more time, Trisha. If you have a rebuttal, last one.
Yeah, he grew up in the poorest of the families of the magical world, so he doesn't have any status within the magical world. To assume that he does because he grew up in it is ridiculous. Also, to say that he never does stand up and pull it off, think of the Battle of Hogwarts. Think of time and time again where he stands up for his friends and overcomes and becomes that brave person that we all knew that he had within.
Okay, the Battle of Hogwarts, that's at the very end. And also, yes, he's the poor, he grew up in a very poor family, but he's 100%, he's a pure blood magical person who doesn't know anything about any politics that are going on. He doesn't have as much empathy as Harry or Hermione. He's the least empathetic character at all. And the only one that's willing to die is Harry.
Oh, can we rebut more, or we're done?
All right. Well, I'm gonna. You each have 5 seconds, and to be fair, Gina, last 5 seconds.
Okay. Yeah. Harry is the only one. He willingly sacrifices himself in the end, not realizing he's gonna come back.
He takes it all for granted. He barely studies and cheats off Hermione. He doesn't really keep his promises to Hagrid, like Buckbeak's trial or visiting Grop.
All right. Whew, a lot there. Roth and Erica, I'm gonna come to you here for help here. Based on those arguments.
Oh, wow. So Trish definitely had the uphill battle with Ron because he is the poor, forgotten child within his family, within the trio, just in all regards. And I feel like, all the arguments she made just made me believe a little more in that little ginger.
I have to agree, it was the uphill battle. I mean, I think that she made some great points in terms of Ron being the force that keeps them grounded, that, easily Harry could spin off and become kind of an elitist without Ron. And I don't know, this was tough because there were also some great arguments from Gina about Harry in terms of staying... The crux of the story is that love can conquer all, and as corny as that seems, Harry sells it. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of central to the entire series. Good luck, Andy.
Man. That's why I kept giving you guys time, because you actually were both really great.
Good job.
I feel like, uphill battle, and I think it still was almost there, but I just get an edge to Harry. Based on the back and forth of too many notes to call it through, and adding them up, it was a very small inch to Gina. So I give the point to Gina.
Good job. Arguing against all of these characters sucks.
I don't want to just give you the point because you had the tougher choice. I had to, and I think you did a valid effort. But Trisha, round of applause.
Thank you guys.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Bravo.
All right, but Trisha, you're helping me decide the winner now.
Okay,
all right, so it really matters now. Here we go. Speed round. Mm-hmm. Gina versus Spencer for all the marbles of the Harry Potter fights. It's been some anger between you two. I could just tell.
Yeah, this
I love
has been
this.
like years of Harry
come
Potter
on.
fights for you guys.
It's all fun, right? For me.
She said you had no soul. It was pretty amazing. All right, here we go. Time will start. You can keep track for me over there on the couch. Yes. Time will be 20 seconds for each of you, and then 10-second rebuttals. Time begins when they begin speaking. Got it, Erica? When they starts talking, you can give them the timer. Check. All right, here's the first question. These are speed rounds, so Gina, you got to answer quickly. If you both say the same answer at the same time, it's whoever said it first. Any questions?
Nope.
Great, here we go. What is the worst Harry Potter movie?
The second one.
Chamber of Secrets.
That is Chamber of Secrets?
Yeah.
He said the second one. I'll allow that, so you need to pick another one.
Okay, I'm gonna pick the Deathly Hallows Part 1 then.
Okay. Ooh. Great. Chamber. Spencer, time begins when you begin speaking.
The second movie is garbage. It has all the worst elements of the Harry Potter franchise on full effect. You have the kids when they're still children and they're not great actors yet. You have a plot that's really plot by numbers. It's more of a scavenger hunt. There's no real overarching story or tie-in to the rest of the main Voldemort story like there are with the other ones. And then you have literally the worst climax, and that's saying something, in all the Harry Potter movies when they fight a giant snake.
Okay.
All right, time begins when you begin speaking.
Okay, I agree that Chamber of Secrets is garbage. I will say that was the second movie in the franchise, and by the time they got to the seventh movie, they should have known better, but they didn't. And the reason that Deathly Hallows Part 1 is so bad is because just nothing happens. It's not Chamber of Secrets. Yes, it's easy to tell why it's bad. There's bad CGI, etc., etc. Deathly Hallows Part 1 is just void when you look at it.
All right, 10 seconds, Spencer.
Deathly Hallows Part 1 has better acting, it has better visuals, and it leaves you on an emotional cliffhanger of saying, oh my god, that wasn't fulfilling, but I need to come back to see how this all wraps up.
Okay, 10 seconds starts.
All right, it's exactly. It wasn't fulfilling, and I need to see the second part. They took a book, turned it into 2 parts. It should have been 1, and nothing happens.
All right. Based on those arguments, Trisha, what do you think?
Oh man, both of you guys, I'm trying to take my personal thoughts out of this. Both of you guys made some really, really solid arguments as far as, that there was better acting. There was, the elements individually were better, but there was no payoff in it, Gina. But I think if I have to choose a winner, I'm going to have to go with Spencer for his teardown of her argument.
Guys on the couch?
I'm going to have to agree. I think that they both made amazing arguments as always, but Spencer sort of tore it down piece by piece and why the movie didn't work ultimately.
It was more well-rounded argument with a lot of more aspects of the film.
You were going to say Gina,
I was going to say Gina. I was going to say Gina.
Go with your gut.
They were both really good arguments.
Gina did have a tougher reason, but I really, she's right. It goes sort of nowhere and sort of as its own movie doesn't hold up, which I think Chamber of Secrets. No one's switching with me. It's just you guys were that hard because were you guys on the fence? If you're on the fence, I'm gonna give it to Gina. If you thought Spencer really did, I'm gonna go.
We are on the fence.
All right, Gina gets the point.
All right.
That's 3-3. 3-3.
All right.
All right. Yeah, great.
Okay.
3-3. Here we go. Number 2. What is the best Hogwarts house?
Ravenclaw.
Gryffindor.
Okay, wow. Gryffindor versus Ravenclaw. Both of them confident. I love it. You were first, so you get to go first. Time starts when you begin speaking.
All right, the reason that Ravenclaw is the best is because even though it doesn't get much of the glory, like Gryffindor is the glory house. It's the house of bravery, but Ravenclaw is the house of intelligence and its thoughtfulness. And even the Sorting Hat at some point says that it would have it almost put Hermione in Ravenclaw, and it's because she's so intelligent and she's so smart. And I feel like sometimes
There's a reason that every single main character in the Harry Potter franchise is in Gryffindor. It's the party, it's the house of leaders, it's the house of people who give a shit about the world, it's the house of people who are kind and who sacrifice for each other to get the job done. They're achievers with a heart. Who doesn't want a kind leader leading us to where we need to be? Without Gryffindor, we'd all be dead. And your point to Ravenclaw being intelligence is Slytherin.
Okay, you got a couple art sections there, so you can go ahead. Gina, you have 10 seconds.
Well, that's false. Slytherin isn't the house of intelligence. But also, sometimes the house that has the most glory isn't the best house. And I feel like that's really what needs to be learned here. Sometimes it is just intelligence.
The hard reason to argue against Ravenclaw is because no one even bothers to mention it in the entire movies. It's a nothing house. It brings nothing to the table as far as the overarching plot of Harry Potter. It's just it's a cast-off. It's for people who are too cool to be in Gryffindor.
Based on those arguments, Couch.
Okay, so a couple of things. Gryffindor, they never said anything about kindness and heart. It's just bravery. Also, for Ravenclaw is intelligence, and Slytherin is cunning and ambition.
Cunning, intelligence.
Kindness is more associated with Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff, yep. Definitely Hufflepuff.
That would be more of a Hufflepuff. So, based on the arguments alone, I mean, she was arguing for the attributes of the actual house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're
Gina.
biased, but yeah.
But Spencer made some
Trisha?
arguments.
Yeah, I personally am House Ravenclaw all the way, so I was really excited for this argument.
How do you even know what it is?
Because the most talented witches and wizards
Name
are
two
sorted
Ravenclaws.
into Ravenclaw.
Rowena Ravenclaw and
Not the
Merlin.
founder.
And Cho.
You can't name them. Name one
Gina got the point.
Ravenclaw.
Thank you.
Ravenclaw.
Gina got the point.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're number 3. Wow, Gina's got a comeback there. So now we're 3-4. Who wins in a direct matchup? Okay, I'm gonna name 2.
Okay.
Who wins in this direct matchup? Voldemort or Dumbledore?
Dumbledore.
Spencer got it in. Dumbledore versus Voldemort. Okay, Spencer, time starts when you begin speaking.
Well, the proof is in the movies. You see it, I don't know if it's 4, 5, or 6, but they do have a duel in the bank vault at Gringotts, and everything Voldemort throws at Dumbledore, he either casts aside or counters back at him. Voldemort has to flee that fight because he realizes he can't win. Dumbledore has the Elder Wand. He has all the knowledge he needs to defeat Voldemort. Voldemort is always in a weakened state, splitting his soul into 7 different places. He's never at full strength because bad is always...
All right, he went over, so you
Okay.
can go a few seconds over the bill. Go
Okay,
ahead.
you're right. The proof is in the movies. Voldemort outlasts Dumbledore. He lives longer than Dumbledore. Also, Dumbledore does have the Elder Wand, which is a wand that no one can defeat anyway. So maybe if he didn't have that little extra edge, he would have been defeated by Voldemort a long time ago. And in that same exact scene, everything that's thrown at him is also countered.
Okay, fair time.
Yeah, we were talking about a direct one-on-one battle, so I'm talking about the only time when they actually face off each other, and he flees from that. Voldemort runs away from that battle. That is a defeat in my book, and I think Dumbledore, he's got the knowledge and the experience. He's taught him at school.
All right, he went about 5 seconds over. Go ahead.
Okay, Voldemort doesn't flee from Dumbledore. He flees because the entire ministry and all the Aurors show up. But in that battle, there is no winner. So I gotta go with who survives longer.
Okay, that was the equal time? Good, great. Based on, it's my turn. Based on those arguments, I thought Spencer did that better based on the facts, but I'm curious what you guys think. Trisha?
I was gonna say Gina. I did. The only thing that would have absolutely sealed it for Gina for me, if she had mentioned that Dumbledore's undoing ultimately was as a result of Voldemort's actions, so he also did defeat Dumbledore. But I thought that both were incredibly well argued, and I would still give it to Gina. I would still give it to Gina.
I'm giving it to Spencer based on the fact that you even admitted, well, he has an edge, but that sort of proves he would have won. Go ahead, guys on the couch.
I think the thing. Good.
The fight, the showdown between them was in book 5, and it was at the Ministry of Magic, not at Gringotts.
I was just gonna say, I think that the thing that would have sold it 100. Spencer, I think, made amazing arguments. The thing that would have sold it 100% for me would have been the fact that Voldemort long game is the one that brought. I mean, Dumbledore long game brought Voldemort down.
But based on these arguments,
Even
what do you
after
guys
his
think?
death. Gina brought it home for me at the end when he was like, she survived longer.
But it's not a long game, it's one-on-one.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the question, right?
was
The question is
one-on-one.
direct matchup: Voldemort or Dumbledore, who wins? And I feel like Spencer clarified that, and I feel like Gina even admitted he has an edge. Spencer gets a point. 4-4. Whoo! All right, here we go.
This is stressful.
Who is the best Hogwarts student other than Harry,
Neville
Ron,
Longbottom.
and Hermione?
Oh.
He took a chance there and went first. Other than Harry, Ron, who's the best student, he went with Neville.
I'm gonna go Luna Lovegood.
Neville versus Luna. All right, Neville's up first. Spencer, time starts when you begin speaking.
Neville Longbottom is Harry Potter if he were a good character. He is the real shit upon magic child who has no skill, who has no hope, and he turns into someone who masters all of his magical gifts, sticks it in the face of every bully who ever doubted him. He chops the head off a snake. Dumbledore even agrees that he could have been the chosen one according to the prophecy, and I wish he was the chosen one.
Okay, talk about being shit upon, talk about being bullied, and you can't talk about those things without Luna. She's a character who is bullied so often that at the end of every school year, kids hide all of her things, and yet despite all of that, she's still kind and good and sweet to everyone and wants to fight on the side of good, and that's a hard thing to do in the face of so many of your classmates. She stands up for the school.
She doesn't stand up for the school. Neville Longbottom stands up for the school. Luna Lovegood is a space cadet. She's a stoner. She has no idea what's going on around her, so who cares if you bully her? But Neville Longbottom changes. He grows because of his bullying.
You just took the pro-bully stance, and I don't like it.
I don't
one
think
bit.
she cares.
First of all,
And he's interrupting. Sorry. I've noted.
Luna at some point gets kidnapped by Voldemort and is who knows what happens to her. Still positive as fuck.
I gave her more time because she did they get their 10s?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we're done. Yeah, I think the bully got a little bullyish there. I gotta go with Gina based on those arguments. What do you guys think, Trisha?
Spencer had me with his initial argument. I think that Neville is a stronger character, but I think that Gina made way more solid arguments.
Yeah, guys on the couch, do you agree?
Same.
Yeah, I just think that we can't be pro-bullying.
I didn't mean
Especially argument-wise, since that was your stance.
Yeah.
It's like,
She deserves to be bullied.
All right,
Did I
Gina's
say
up.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said
I
Linda
said that
deserves
wrong.
to be bullied.
What I meant was, she doesn't mind if she's bullied.
No hemming and hawing now. You're
Gina's up by points, 5-4. Here we go. So Spencer, you got to get this last one to make a tiebreaker. Here we
wow.
go. Okay. Besides Ron, who's the best Weasley?
Fred.
Mrs. Weasley.
Okay, we have Fred, who I will remind Spencer forgot about.
Yeah, Spencer said, who is that?
And and who? Mrs. Beasley. That's right. All right, Fred's up first.
Fred Weasley is a lovable Joker. He provides much-needed comic relief, and yes, he's part of that twin dynamic that we've seen play out so many times, but it's subverted when there's injury and when there's loss on one half of that twin side, and he grows and becomes I don't fucking know. Fred Weasley, I don't know. Fred's fine. He's good. He's okay.
I feel like I don't have too much work here, but I will. You can't have Fred without George, so you can't say he's the best character. But Mrs. Weasley, first of all, she had how many? 6 kids, and they're all decent, or 7 kids. I forgot about Percy. They're all decent, good human beings for the most part. So she raises on a terrible budget because they're super poor.
Okay, Spencer, you have 10 seconds to try and turn this around.
You're just talking about her kids. You're talking about the character herself. She's just a housewife who kills someone at the end of the movie. She murders Bellatrix Lestrange.
Time is up.
Okay.
10 seconds. Here we go.
First you're pro-bullying, then you're anti-housewife. She has a moment at the end where she says, "Get away from my daughter, you bitch," where she proves that she will do anything for her kids. Also, the reason her kids are awesome is her.
Well, I can't even remember who Fred was.
Gina wins! Gina, you win. Ron Weasley!
Thank you for bringing up "Get away from my daughter, you bitch." That was all the argument I needed for that to be won.
Yeah, we didn't need to talk about that one. That was clear. Wow, Spencer, I don't know what happened there.
Well,
but
I didn't
You
know.
went full heel. I loved it, though.
Yeah, I felt like, might as well embrace it.
Was Fred the only Weasley you could think of in the
Yeah,
speed
I was
round?
trying to think of the Dragon
Yes,
Hunter one, but I
Percy.
couldn't remember his name.
Charlie.
Wow, legit. All right, well, a fan won. Legitimate Harry Potter fan won.
Yes.
Gina, congrats.
Good
We'll talk about this in after the fight.
job.
Trisha, let's go through the line. Trisha, anything you'd like to plug here?
Thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, I would say head on over to twitch.tv/geekandsundry on Wednesdays and Fridays and check out both Foreververse and Brick Battles. I also do a tech show on Kingston every Friday, which is really fun if you like easy tech tips.
Sweet. Gina Polito at Gina Ippy on Twitter. Anything else you'd like to plug?
Yeah, check out the 8th and final season of Regular Show on Cartoon Network. I wrote on that season. I also do a G.I. Joe podcast called Knowing is Half the Podcast. So find that on
You had
iTunes.
Hal on it?
That's great.
No.
Hal Rudnick is a huge G.I. Joe fan.
Hal.
We were making that happen.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Spencer Gilbert at Spencer J. Gilbert.
Catch me on Twitter and around here. Apologies to Mrs. Weasley. Apologies to Luna Lovegood. Things come out in the speed round that you're not too proud of.
We saw who
But
you really
it was
were.
fun to play the Slytherin today.
Yeah, you were definitely Slytherin. What else were we? We were Slytherin.
I mean, I have
Star
a
Wars.
Gryffindor.
Are you Ravenclaw?
Ravenclaw.
Okay, so good. There we go. Eric Ishii on the fact checker. Thank you so much. Great work, Samurai Erica. Anything you'd like to plug?
Yeah, catch me at twitch.tv/geekandsundry on Tuesdays and Fridays. And I'm going to be on Screen Junkies News tomorrow, so
Yay!
please check that out.
Tomorrow, meaning Friday, if you're watching on
Tomorrow,
YouTube.
yes.
It was yesterday.
Yes.
Roth Cornett, how about a Screen Junkies News plug? A second.
Screen Junkies News at Screen Junkies News. Watch it every day. We love it. We
So
love
much
all
fun.
the things.
Every morning around 10:30, we're live there. You can check it out. And don't forget the roast of Harry Potter. It's available here on Screen Junkies Plus. It's so funny. We roast everybody. I suggest you all try it. So much fun. Drake, our Draco, man, he really crushed it. Connor
McSpadden, yeah.
Such a good set by him.
I'm excited.
So make sure you tune into that. Look it up. And thank you guys for watching. This was fun. We'll have to
This
do a
was so
volume
fun.
2 next
Yeah,
year.
this was
Whenever the
really
next one
fun.
comes out. I don't know any spells, so we'll see you after the fight is on Colossus.
Bye.
Every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this kick-ass graphic listing all the topics your favorite Screen Junkies podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast battle royale. Go ahead, try them all. If you haven't already, subscribe to Screen Junkies on YouTube to join us for future fights. Or if you prefer to listen on iTunes, click the logo to download an audio version.